Hi everyone, this is the LEGO Ninjago Legacy Ninja Character Display Set that was released in January 2026. I built it live on YouTube without the instructions, and now it's time for me to review the set. Before getting into the details of the set itself, let's take a quick recap of the unboxing and building experience. So in this set we got 5 numbered bags, a very small sticker sheet. We also got these instructions, which I did not use to build the set, but I'll show them to you right now just so you have a quick idea. At the very front, we do get some useful information about the set and the characters. You can hit pause if you want to read this, or you can check it out on lego.com. I love the comparison here between the 2012 Ninja and the 2026 versions of them. So they're very, very similar, but they have been adapted for modern times and kids these days, and especially older kids who want to collect all the Ninja. And did I mention that this set only costs $45 US or $60 Canadian? So you get 8 minifigures in total. Here they are with their names at the top of the box. It's very useful for someone who's not a super fan. Maybe they're just getting into it. Maybe they just watched a few episodes and now they're interested. They want to collect all the characters. This tells you right away. Or maybe a parent who's getting it for their kids. They don't really know who's the red ninja, who's the green ninja. Well, it's good that they label these things on the box. Of course, you can always look things up online, but I like it when LEGO makes things very easy. Here's a look at the back of the box, where we see once again the front of the set. I wish they showed more of the back, so it's easier to build it without the instructions. So I did use the 3D view to build this. They suggest to open the set from the bottom, but I always recommend opening it from the top. This way, when you're done with the set, you can put the instructions and extra parts, etc. in here. Here's a quick recap of the building experience, bag by bag. Bag 1 gives us the Kai and Wu minifigures, their accessories, as well as the foundation of the build, with this nice little tea ceremony area in the back. Bag 2 gives us the Samurai X and J minifigures along with their weapons, and builds the steps of the monastery, as well as some of the rock work. We also add a few flowers here in one of the places where the ninja can be posed. And here's what the building phase looks like from the back. We have this additional detail added here in terms of these stickers to tell the story of long before time had a name, with the younger Sensei Wu beating Garmadon and sending into the underworld. Bag 3 gives us the Cole and Zane minifigures. In this bag we build this archway, which is done mostly in black and done almost entirely stuff on the side, so that's pointing this way. We also build this small assembly right here. Bag 4 gives us the Lloyd minifigure, the legendary green ninja, as well as builds the sides of the monastery walls just a little bit on each side. I love the building technique right here with these two pieces, and the way these brown pieces come together despite being on 2 different dimensions. Beautiful building techniques used here. And also the way this was attached using the clip and the stud right here at a half offset was also quite nice as well. Bag 5 finishes the build with the Libber minifigure along with her stand and lightning as a weapon, and we build the doors, this part right here at the very top, and this tree. And we're now done with the build, and what a build it was. Definitely a very interesting building experience. There's more to this than what meets the eye, but I'm sure you're all here for the minifigures, so let's start with those. Before I show you the details of the minifigures and spin them around as usual, I just want to show them to you while they're posed on the display stand itself. So there's lots of places where you can pose minifigures either on the ground or using these clear pieces that originally came out in LEGO Marvel. I'm happy that they're using them now for a bunch of different themes, including Ninjago. So it's nice to see all the ninja just jumping out. You can kind of imagine that there's like some perceived enemy that's not included in this set, but basically some evil monster or group of monsters or Oni or something are coming to the monastery, and the ninja just jumping out to fight them. So it's a very dynamic scene, even though the minifigures don't actually move, not in real life, but it's so dynamic you can almost imagine it, especially if you've watched the show. We also get this character right here who is Jay's biological mother, but more on her later. This is like a separate bonus side build. Let's start with Jay, Cole, and Zane. So all of these ninja are in their modernized ZX outfits. ZX stands for Zen Extreme. They all have versions of the golden weapons. So Jay has the nunchucks of lightning, Cole has the scythe of quakes, which probably should be renamed to scythe of earth at this point, and Zane has the shuriken of ice. So all of these are very nice to get, and the minifigures themselves are very reminiscent of the good old days when Ninjago first launched back in 2011, 2012. Here are the faces that you'll be seeing most of the time. I believe the one for Cole is pretty standard. This might be a new face for Jay, but the one for Zane is definitely new, with the part here where he is exposed as being a robot. At the very, very beginning, he did not know that he was a ninjoid or a robot. So there was one episode at the beginning where he discovered that and found out his true potential once he accepted this reality. So yes, Zane is a ninjoid, and sometimes he does not have like the covering on his face, and it's good that we finally got this expression from LEGO officially. So that's definitely very interesting. It's also nice to get these standard expressions so you could display him in any which way you want. And here's what that expression looks like in context while wearing the mask. For the other ninja, when you turn their heads around, the facial expression does not really matter because you just see the eyes from the ninja mask. And on the back, I do like the fact that you can see the symbols for each ninja, so that's very well done for all three of them. So we're off to a very good start here. I do want to say that I do think, in general, I would have preferred if Jay had the gray or silver instead of the gold, but the way they did it to be consistent with all the others, I think it does make sense. There's been lots of debate on this online. I know some people are not going to agree, but at least it makes sense when you put Jay next to all the other ninja. They're all wearing gold, so it is a justifiable decision by the LEGO designers, even though I do understand people who were around at the time, they might not prefer that, and I do respect that opinion, but overall, seeing it in person, it's not that bad. I thought it was going to look not too great, but seeing it in person is definitely not bad. The cowl here, I do notice a little bit of bleeding between the gold and the black, and a little bit with the gold and blue, but honestly, it's not a very big deal. Here is what they look like without the shoulder armor, so we can see the prints on the backs of the torsos more clearly. I do like all three of these, especially the one for Jay. It looks very nice in person when the light shines on it. Definitely a very well-produced figure. I'm very happy to get these three. Moving on, we have the legendary green ninja Lloyd, his mentor Kai, and Kai's sister Nia, who is disguised as Samurai X. And this is spoiled fairly early on in Ninjago, in Season 1 or Season 2. Season 1, towards the latter half of Season 1. So definitely, you should know that by now if you're a Ninjago fan. If you don't, I'm sorry. Well, now you know. So yeah, we have three amazing minifigures right here, with the two ninja here, both wearing the modernized ZX outfits once again, and Nia wearing her Samurai X suit, but with this blue belt right here to kind of foreshadow that eventually she will be the water ninja. I don't know if that's canon though. All three of these minifigures have the same expressions that we've seen from them from a very long time. Basically pretty standard. I wish Kai would take off the bandage. It's been many years now, and sure, it was cool at the beginning, but at some point I think it's time to take it off, maybe do something new. And here they are with the shoulder armor removed, so you can see the back prints fully on the torsos. And I do like all of these prints. The metallic gold looks very, very nice and shiny. They're much better to look at in person compared to on video, so I definitely recommend seeing these at your local LEGO store or any other store that sells LEGO in your area if you can. And in terms of accessories, Lloyd gets his golden sword, Kai gets the sword of fire, and Nia gets these two black swords. So all of these are very nice to get. And yeah, I especially like the sword of fire. The mold right here looks very nice, and it reminds me of the first episodes of the series, so that's always a good thing. Finally, we have Master Wu, who used to be called Sensei Wu at the time that the original episodes released, as well as Libber, also known as the Master of Lightning, with Jay's biological mother. So definitely interesting characters to get here. You've seen Wu many times before, but he does have some modernized pieces for this particular set, and it might be re-released in other sets, this particular combination of parts. None of these have alternative expressions, and this is what Wu looks like without the beard. Definitely an interesting print right there, and they recently updated this, not this year, but I believe last year, in one of the Ninjago Monstrosity sets or Legend sets, and they're reusing that print apparently for Master Wu from now on. I do like the printing here, it's simple but nice, and I love the printing on the Master of Lightning. So in terms of the torso and legs, they gave this minifigure a premium feel, but then they reused the head from a generic LEGO City set, which I think was not maybe the best choice, because now you're saying that the Master of Lightning is in all those LEGO City sets, which I find to be funny. So I do have to say, overall, I'm very happy with these minifigures. There's a lot to love here. There's lots of new parts that are updated for 2026 compared to what we got back in 2012 and 2011, and the production quality has increased, the attention to detail has increased. Back then, Ninjago was just some random theme, and LEGO was cycling through themes, like once every 2-3 years they come up with a new original theme, and no one at that time could have expected Ninjago to be as successful as it is today. So I definitely appreciate all the attention to detail and care that the graphics designers put into these minifigures. And I would say if you're a Ninjago fan, this set is a no-brainer for all the value that you get just from the minifigures alone. I think the set is worth the asking price. I'm spoiling my thoughts on this set right now, but it is true. There's no other set within Ninjago, or any other theme for that matter, where you can get 8 quality minifigures for this price in 2026. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure this is the only set that gives you all these minifigures for this price, and minifigures of this level of quality. I'm sure you can find like the most basic minifigures cheaper, especially if you buy only the minifigures. But speaking of which, for the price of $20 US or $26 Canadian, you can get these additional characters to really complete the cast of Ninja. So you get Oni Mistake, Pixel, who is very important, Dareth, also a very important character, Nia in a more standard outfit compared to the Samurai X outfit. I'm not going to count the young Lloyd because you already have this one here, so if you just don't buy this one, if you don't care about him, you can spend less money because they're sold in groups of 3. You could get this one if you really want, if you want to have both versions. Plus you get the Dragon's Rising characters if you care about those, and I'd say at least get the Imperial Torso. The bottom line, with $45 US or $60 Canadian spent to get these Ninja ZX minifigures, plus the ones that you get from the building minifigure stations at the LEGO store, you have a lot of the important characters of the Ninjago universe. You have pretty much all of the ninja except for Frack and Wildfire, but those you can get in the Ninjago Dragon's Rising sets, and you can also get the parts separately if you really want them. But for the classic Ninjago Ninja, the classic Ninja, here they are, all 6, plus Nia right here, plus Pixel. I think this is definitely a good deal if you're a Ninjago fan. Although I do have to say that these are going to run out from stores at some point. I don't want to make people panic buy. They're not going to run out tomorrow. But I'd say this set will be on store shelves for 2 years, maybe 3 years. These will disappear mostly by the end of the year. So if I were you, I would go to the LEGO store and get these parts if I haven't already, sometime between now and summer 2026. Again, don't panic, but at the same time, if you want to get these like in a year or 2 from now, it might be a little bit more difficult, since these parts don't officially retire, but they just go to like the bottom of the bin. Now, when you buy this set, in addition to the minifigures, you also get these 2 builds. This build is tiny, so I'll just start with it. It has a nice Ninjago 15 printed piece right here, which I really appreciate. And the rest of the build is what you see is what you get. I don't like these pins right here because they cannot be removed. It's the brick with the pins, unfortunately, instead of the removable ones. So I would recommend changing this piece for a piece like this, or just a regular brick if you know that you're not going to connect it to anything else, if you want to display just this minifigure on your own. So you could do this. You can also do this with Master Wu or Sensei Wu. No one's going to stop you from putting another minifigure on the stand. I think Master Wu definitely deserves the honor. He's one of Ninjago's oldest characters, and I think he deserves to be recognized like this, if that's your thing. And I think the green ninja Lloyd also qualifies for this honor as well, just by virtue of being the legendary green ninja who saved Ninjago like a few million times at this point. So yeah, you could reuse this stand for the other minifigures, or even for Zane if you like, if that's your favorite ninja. So it's really up to you. And in terms of connecting the stand to the main set, I'll get back to that. But speaking of the main set itself, here's what it looks like with just one minifigure placed here for scale. There's not much going on behind him, so I'll just keep him here and just spin this around so you understand what you're getting in addition to the minifigures. I do think the build here is nice. There's lots of interesting details and interesting solutions, and I'll point those out. But overall, it's basically a facade. You have some stairs going up to this gate. The gate is nice, but it's very thin, as you can see right here. You have a good base. There's a good amount of plastic that's right here at the base to give it a bit of weight. But essentially, there's not a lot going on here. I do like the decorations here, the red, the black, the gold. It just makes a lot of sense to me. The floor or ground is dark green with some light blue flowers to break things up and provide a bit of visual contrast. There's a bit of rock work right here. Same thing on the side with this small sakura tree. I think this is a nice additional detail to add. So if this was missing, I feel like the set would be lacking something. So it's very nice that it's added here. It provides an additional splash of color, something nice to contrast with all the other stuff that's in the set. I don't know what this is off the top of my head. It's built upside down, so the studs are mostly pointing in this direction, and it reminds me of something I built for a LEGO Minecraft set. I'm not sure off the top of my head what this is. If you do know, please share in the comments down below. I do like the way they built the walls here. I like the way these 2 pieces are integrated seamlessly. They're not actually connected, but basically the curve right here matches perfectly with this curve right here. So from far away, it looks seamless. This is very, very nice. And the gates as well are done in an interesting way. So they can be opened like this. Here's what that looks like from the other side. Here they are closed and opened. So it's a nice homage to the monastery of Spinjitzu, and I do hope that at some point we get the rest of the monastery, like the whole thing. But what we do get here is good. And here at the bottom we have a little bit of interior details. We have here the 2 stickers of the set, which show Master Wu. I don't know if he was Master at the time, but we see Wu fighting Garmadon, his evil older brother, banishing him to the underworld. So here we see in jargon, long before time had a name, so it's basically the introductory words of Ninjago, where Sensei Wu is narrating the story in episode 1. We have here some tea. Wu is a big fan of tea, so it makes sense that there's a teapot here and some teacups, and a place where 2 of the minifigures can sit for an interesting discussion over tea. And here's what that looks like, with Wu and one of his ninja having a nice conversation about how some evil force is going to take over the world. So yeah, I always like those scenes in Ninjago. So yeah, some good stuff here. Some flames, I did not mention them before. These are probably candles. Makes sense to have them there. And yeah, from the bottom, there's not a lot to see here. There's no hidden references or anything like that. But from the top, again, not too much to see here. It's just plates stacked on the side. In terms of building techniques, I found this technique to be interesting, the way that we are angling these walls. So these are at an angle. So that was nice. You can watch the speed build or the live build recap if you want to know the details of how that's done, or check the instructions online. But essentially we have a hinge plate, a tile, and this angles to just the right angle, the right distance, and it just fits perfectly. So that's a nice and interesting building technique that I will make use of in the future. So yeah, I learned stuff when building this set. There's the way that this is done with studs on the side construction is also done in an interesting way. So yeah, that's, I guess, the highlight of the building experience. This is a set you're gonna get mostly for the minifigures more than the build experience, but at least if you do build a set, you do learn something, so that's pretty good. Now the same critique of this build right here compared to the mini build, and that's the use of this piece right here. Basically, it's forcing us to always have these pins exposed. So no matter what you do, you're always gonna be stuck with these pins right here and also here. And this does not even connect to this. You're going to need to get more pins to connect these two together if you build things following the instructions. But of course, you can just swap this piece and this piece together, and then yeah, you can basically attach it there and you won't have to see these pins. But there will always be at least 2 pins sticking out right here, unless you just remove this piece and replace it with some parts from your own collection. So it's a little bit of a miss. Now I know they want you to buy the other sets, but not everyone is going to get all the sets, and I think that out of all the sets, this set is the one that most kids and teenagers will be able to afford. So I do think LEGO could have polished this just a bit more, and I'm guessing you could just remove this and put it here if you really want to. Yeah, so if you don't care about this stand, at the very least you can move this piece from here to here without any disassembly required, so that's pretty nice. In that case, you have like all the ninja right here as they were at the beginning of the video. You can also move this to the top if you prefer that. So yeah, you definitely have lots of options with what they give you in the set. Now I'd say if you're only going to get one LEGO Ninjago set this year, let it be this one. The set has the best value for money with 8 minifigures for only $45 US or $60 Canadian, plus of course the build itself. So it is a nice build, a nice display item. You can pose the minifigures very dynamically if you want to, so that's always a good thing. You can add some other minifigures from the LEGO store while you're there. The LEGO build a minifigure characters that we looked at earlier, of course those are sold separately. If you only want to get, like, let's say Pixel, Dareth, and let's say Oni Misake, I think these are the ones you're going to get if you are a fan of the classic era of Ninjago, or maybe you swap this for Nia in her March of the Oni outfit if you just want to get her in a more traditional attire. So either way, you get these minifigures, you get these characters for a pretty decent price, and after that you can put them in your own LEGO city. You don't need to get necessarily all the big LEGO Ninjago city sets. You could if you want to, but you don't have to. With these minifigures, you can pretty much tell all the stories of Ninjago and really relive those experiences. And I want to thank LEGO for making this set. Instead of scattering these ninja across like many different sets, you have to buy like this set just to get the Kai, and you buy this other set just to get the Cole, etc. So I'm very happy that they put everybody, they put the whole team in one set. That's a great gesture from LEGO, great gesture from the designers who thought of this and convinced their management to let them make this set. This is definitely something worth celebrating for the Ninjago 15 anniversary. This is definitely a worthy way to celebrate that anniversary, so I highly recommend that you get this set. Even at the regular retail price, I think the value is decent, but if you can get it on discount, that's even better. The building experience without the instructions for me was typical. I learned a few things on building it, but not something that's completely earth-shattering. But to be fair, this is a set that you mostly get for the minifigures, and I'm perfectly fine with that. This is a set that I highly recommend. And if you're watching this before the 20th of February, please make sure to support my BDP submissions, including especially the awesome Space Tower. Find more information in the links below, and thanks again for tuning in.